This is Jessica Webster.
And this is Sam Pogue of the Fitness Break Room podcast. Sit back, take a well-deserved break, and learn about the journey that helps shape the most successful fitness professionals in the industry today. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fitness Break Room podcast. I'm your host, Sam Pogue. I'm sitting in beautiful Los Angeles, California with my friend Chad Landers here at Push Private Fitness. Thank you very much for joining me.
Sure,
it's a pleasure
thanks
to
for coming
finally
out.
be here. Yeah. Chad and I had the pleasure of meeting back in October in DC with a friend of ours, Coach Cav, at a mastermind. And we're really excited to be able to come in here and share a story about how to make it in the business of fitness inside of, the world of Hollywood, and which is kind of where Chad's kind of based right here amongst a lot of movie studios and everything else in California, which is a mecca of fitness.
Right.
So maybe give us a little bit of idea of the little Chicago boy that grew up looking.
If I was only a Chicago boy, I'm from the sticks of Illinois. I'm from. It would probably take me 3 hours of driving past cornfields to get to Chicago. So I'm from a very rural area. There were, 150 kids in my whole high school.
Wow.
Like 41 in my graduating class. So I was probably about the least likely person you would ever think would end up in LA working with famous people. It just was not a matter of fact, there's people that I've, worked with that at that time when I was growing up, I might have been listening to their music or had posters on the wall and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so it's such a weird kind of time warpy thing that's like two different lives almost.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning. How did you get into the fitness industry?
Well, for I don't know how. I mean, I think you probably even saw it at my presentation. There's a picture of me when I'm probably 5 or 6 years old in my underwear making, muscle man poses.
Yeah.
And I remember from a little kid, this is like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a muscle man. Well, I don't know what the hell that even meant to me.
Right.
How I thought you could be a muscle man, for a living or anything. But there was definitely some kind of early interest in that. And that would have been, the early to mid 70s. That's when Arnold Schwarzenegger was winning all of his Mr. Olympias. So I don't know if I saw him on TV. I really have no idea.
Yeah. And it's not like internet or Snapchat or anything.
No,
like that.
oh my God, none of that stuff was around. There wasn't even cable TV.
Right.
At least not when my house there wasn't cable TV.
Were there magazines like at the grocery store? Like maybe you saw a dude on the.
I don't think so. I don't think there was. I can only think that it must have been something that I saw on TV.
Interesting.
So when I was 9 years old, I got my first set of dumbbells, little 5-pound sand-filled dumbbells, and that kind of started it. And so I always had this interest in it. And when I, started to get a little older, I started to play football, and I was a scrawny kid, so I needed to put on some size. And so I just started to get in more into fitness and lifting weights on my own. And by the time that I got to college, I really didn't know what I was going to major in, or even that you could major in something like kinesiology. Mm-hmm. This was, I graduated high school in 1986. So when I went to University of Illinois, I started out as a biology major because I liked science. Didn't have an idea that I would switch and make it a fitness thing. So for me, it was more biology and wildlife biology. I thought I'd be out, looking for bear poo in the woods or whatever. I don't know. I just didn't know for sure. But once I got on campus, that was one of the benefits of going to a large university is once I got there, and at that time they were just switching over the name from the Department of Physical Education to the Department of Kinesiology because most people who got the degree did not go into like kindergarten through 12 PE teaching. So physical education didn't really encompass what was going on there. So a lot of people used it as a way to go to pre-med, or maybe they went to physical therapy school afterwards, or chiropractic school, or athletic training, or whatever. For me, I was already working at a local gym in Urbana, Illinois, while I was still going to school, and I actually had started managing the place before I'd even finished getting my degree. So it just kind of funneled in from, that kid making muscle poses just on through college, where I just ended up in the gym thing. So now it's been, 30 years later, and obviously I've had a lot of different things along the way, but the biggest change, I left Illinois in 92 because, I was managing this club and I was making about less than $19,000 a year managing
That's
it.
probably good money then, no? For a
It was okay, but I was, 22,
Mm.
23, and I was maxed out.
Yeah.
If I was going to get a raise, it wasn't going to be a whole lot,
Right.
So
What was the gym scene like in 1986?
um,
Like, it wasn't
know,
like it is now.
I mean, there was kind of the whole fitness revolution had hit.
Okay.
So there were gyms. That would have been the time when like step aerobics
Right.
was like a big thing.
Right.
So you had people that were, some were bodybuilding and a few were powerlifting, but the bulk of it was like more what we would think of as like general fitness stuff, at least in the Midwest where I was at the time. And you certainly, at that time when I was managing the gym, I would like train people for fun because I was there 8 hours a day, needed to kill some time, but I
Right.
didn't charge anybody. I didn't have any idea I even could do something like that. So once I left there, I moved to Las Vegas and I had put out my resumes everywhere to every gym. And I figured, here I am. I've got a degree in kinesiology. I've managed a club for a couple of years. Somebody's going to call me like straight away. And like nobody did. So I was working just crap jobs in, graveyard shift at a shoe store warehouse and all this kind of crap. And eventually I did get a call from one of the clubs, but that was just to kind of be, it was a high-end club in Vegas just off the strip. And so I wasn't a trainer there. I was just like a guy that would walk around and, if Siegfried and Roy were walking on the treadmill, I'd get them a cup of water and talk to people and stuff. But I wasn't on the training staff. There was a
Right.
training staff, but that wasn't me. And so I wasn't happy there, but at least I was in a gym and not in a shoe store. But what I did do is the guy who was the head trainer there knew another guy who was going to run the new HealthSpot Bally's Casino that was opening up. They had this multi-million-dollar renovation, and they just needed hosts. So again, not as a trainer, but I'm like, you know what? Boom, I'll take it. It was a bump up in pay, and I got tips. So I was happy to have that job.
Mhm.
And it was really there when I was working at Bally's Casino in that spa where, I mean, everybody would come in from people that were, playing Bally's. If it was, like Billy Ray Cyrus, that's like when Achy Breaky Heart was huge. There was no Miley even in the equation,
Sorry for all of you who don't know that reference.
right? It's like, all you got to do is just Google like world's largest line dance because they did it in the parking lot at Bally's to set a
Oh,
Guinness
wow.
World Record. Yeah. And I will say this. He was by far the most polite celebrity that I had ever met at that time.
Wow.
And there was a lot that would come through.
Yeah.
In and out, John Bon Jovi to old timers, Jack Lemmon and Rodney Dangerfield, all these different people. So that was my first real experience in interacting with celebrities.
We're gonna have to put links to all these people in the show notes because I think half the audience
These
is
are
not
gonna
gonna
be
know
like,
who
who?
these people are.
Rodney Dangerfield, hey, just go rent Back to School,
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack, yeah. So
And he went to
anyhow,
the gym. Rodney Dangerfield went to the gym.
well, he would come down to the spa and like get a massage.
Okay.
Because it was a spa. We did have a little gym there, actually a nice little gym.
Perfect.
But like Billy Ray Cyrus was about the only one who actually used the gym. Most everybody else just came in and used the sauna or the steam room or got a massage or whatever. But the good thing about that job for me is because I was personable and likable, I think that people from all over the country that would come there, they just kind of liked me, and I got job offers for all different kinds of stuff.
Mm.
From being like a insurance investigator with like a van with like hidden cameras and investigating insurance fraud
Yeah.
to I had two couples that were going to open up a gym in Northern California, and I probably would have taken that gig, but I met another guy who was opening up a private personal training studio down here, and he needed trainers to work at it. And he actually called me first, and I flew down, and I liked it, and I decided I would make that move to LA because I didn't really like living in Vegas, and I'd only been there for 10 months, and I knew that it wasn't.
Why did you choose
me.
Vegas instead of?
I just had a
anywhere
free
else?
place to stay. I had
Gotcha.
family in Vegas, so when I left Illinois, it was either take a step backward and move back to rural Illinois where I had a place to stay,
Right.
or make a big jump, and the only big jump I could make because not like I had any money or anything. And so the big jump was to go to Vegas because I
Yeah.
had a free place to live. So luckily for me, that gave me the opportunity to meet the people. And so I took the job down here in LA. In a couple months after I'd moved away, those people from Northern California did call. So I don't know if they ever opened up a gym or not.
Right.
I have no idea, but I made the right choice, obviously.
Yeah.
And so that was 1993, April of 93. So here in another, month and a half, it'll be 25 years that I've been making a living as a personal trainer in Los Angeles, which is pretty mind-blowing when I
Yeah.
think about it. Because, it's not like I've had a side hustle or anything like that.
Right.
This has been my job for 25 years, which is pretty unheard of
Yeah.
in the industry. Then 15 years ago, I opened up this facility. I was very fortunate. My wife and I had moved from Sherman Oaks to Studio City, which is where we're basically on the border of right now. And this had been a little mom and pop gym for a while. And after
Oh.
9/11, it had gone under and it was vacant.
Mhm.
So it already had the proper permits for a gym. It made it very easy. And at the
Yeah.
time, the rents were good back then and stuff. So I was able to make that leap and open up a facility, even though I was at the time the only trainer.
Mhm.
So I gave myself the first 6 months, and I said, okay, other than the initial money that we put out personally to start the gym, I said I never ever want to put another one of our dollars into this. I want the gym to be self-sufficient
Yeah.
and not have to do that. And I never have. I've been very, very fortunate. So that first 6 months, things started to pick up. I had already had a established clientele. I mean, I'd been in LA 10 years at that point.
Mhm.
So I just had very little overhead before. So now
Right.
all of a sudden, all that money that I was bringing in was going to overhead. So obviously I needed to add more clients and eventually add more trainers to be able to really make money and build what I've built now.
Right.
But it wasn't until I had my own facility. I'd worked with the first place that I worked at when I came to LA. I'd worked with one soap opera actress for a little while, but that was really the only like celebrity type training I had ever
Right.
done until I opened my own facility. And once I had the facility, I'm very close, as you said, to a lot of the studios. So I'm almost dead center between Warner Brothers and Universal Studios, ABC and NBC and Disney are just down the street, and then I'm in Toluca Lake, which a lot of wealthy people live here in Toluca Lake, as
Okay.
well as Studio City in the Hollywood Hills. So I was in a great location,
Okay.
and so
And has it always been a great location just because of those?
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
You didn't have to
So
wait for it to gentrify or something to
no,
open
oh
up.
no. This is. I mean, literally, we're a minute away from another old time reference, but Bob Hope. So Bob Hope, lived to be like 100 years old. Bob Hope's estate. Bob Hope at one time, this is kind of interesting, was the single largest landowner in LA County.
Wow.
That's how wealthy this dude was. He owned the most land, and he would never sell land. He would only trade people land. So if they wanted a piece of his property, they would have to give him a piece of property. Dude's bucks, big bucks.
Wow.
But his big estate, $18 million estate is right over here, like 2
Oh,
minutes away.
shit.
So aside from Bob Hope, but you want to go younger, like Miley Cyrus used to live right over here. It's like, so there's all that around here.
Right.
It lends itself, whether it's people in front of a camera or on stage or not, still you've got a lot of studio people and professional people and people that can afford to live in this area.
Yeah.
So it makes it much easier to have a private, personal training studio because of the location.
Yeah. Sure, your rent's gone up a couple dollars in the
Oh
25
my
years you've
gosh.
had this place.
Yeah, it's like it hurts. It hurts a lot now.
You're like, I've signed this check before. Why is there more than one comma?
It's insane. It's like if I was. I mean, it's a catch-22. Obviously, if I wasn't in LA, I wouldn't have a lot of the clientele that I had. But man, you start to think of the rents that some other people are paying us. Like, I would actually probably have a lot more money,
Mhm.
even though I would charge probably a little less, than what I charge for training. But the overhead would be so much less
Yeah.
somewhere else that I would probably have, more money. But it's not like I'm hurting. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to retire and live
Mhm.
just fine. So,
Quality of life is a big thing,
yeah,
right? I'm sure you've had plenty of opportunities to scale, open up a second facility, blow a wall up, take over another spot. Like, those have probably all presented themselves to you in 25 years.
Well, it's tough because LA is a very tough place to run a business. That's probably one of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that I've had this facility for 15 years in LA. Because LA doesn't make it easy on you either to open one or to be sustainable. It's expensive and there's all kind of hoops to jump through with the city or the county and whatever. But yeah, there's been times I've been very fortunate. When I first opened the facility, when it was the mom and pop gym, it actually had 4 storefronts. So
Oh,
the
wow.
store next to us on both sides was all open. And when I came in, that one had already been taken. So I could have taken 3, but I decided, you know what? I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I'm going to take the center 2. It already had the locker rooms and showers built out.
Okay.
So I didn't have to pay for that. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just take those 2. Now, in the years since, I wish I had that space next to me. But it's just too expensive even
Yeah.
to try to now, because I did try to before the latest tenant went in next door. But that being said, back in 2008, 2009, when the economy crashed and the housing market crashed, I'm very fortunate I didn't have that extra square footage at that time,
Totally.
because my business retracted about 30% at that time.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was able to absorb it and build it back up again once things picked up. But I don't know that I would have been able to absorb it if I'd had a third more square footage than I
Yeah.
have now. I might not have been. So, I would love to at this point have owned my own building and had a standalone private building and not be in a strip center with other businesses and what have you. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
You've got to work with what you got sometimes, and it's not
Mhm.
like things aren't going well.
Right.
It's just, and some of it's probably ego. I would like to, say that here's this, ta-da,
Right.
push private fitness, special standalone place, private parking, and the whole thing. But, I get the job done here, and the clients and other trainers are happy, so I really can't complain.
Yeah. I mean, and you're doing it. Like, at the end of the day, I mean, more often than not, most people are out of the business way quicker than 10
Right?
years, 15 years, 25 years,
Yeah,
let
it's
alone to
crazy.
survive multiple economic changes.
Right.
And the landscape of training has changed exponentially since you got into it.
Sure.
So 1986, we're looking at Richard Simmons and Jane Fonda and step aerobics
Right.
moving heavily then into the bodybuilding scene, the powerlifting scene,
90s were definitely bodybuilding driven,
right?
and I
And
had all the clown pants and a fanny pack and the whole thing. I was
love it.
I was bought in.
I love
Hook, line,
it.
and sinker.
And hey, you gotta play the part.
Right.
And now we're sitting here in t-shirts and jeans,
Right.
right, with our flowing locks and
Yes, my Mark Fisher locks. Shout out to
So,
Mark.
for you guys here, or you here, being able to, you've been a one-on-one personal training studio,
Right.
and you subcontract out and have trainers who come and run their own business out of here and pay you rent,
Sure.
right? How have you been able to withstand the changes of the fitness industry to withstand, let alone the economics of
Right.
fitness and the business?
Well, for me, I've always just tried to be authentic to myself and to what I like to do. I am not the kind of rah guy. I'm not like, a Martin Rooney or a Todd Durkin. That's just not me.
Yeah.
So for me, doing the group fitness thing, we're in a pretty small footprint here.
Yeah.
So I could do it, but it would be crowded, and my whole thing is about the privacy and the kind of the boutique nature, which has lent itself to having more of the celebrity type, because
Yeah.
they don't necessarily want to be in a crowded place where people are taking pictures of them while they're training or
Totally.
that kind of thing. So I've just always tried to do what I do really well, and then just cultivate that with the other trainers and create the environment that makes the clients happy, makes the other trainers obviously busy, and keeps them happy and keeps me happy.
Mhm.
So no matter what trend has come and gone, I haven't jumped into it, because I've been around for so long.
Right.
Like say from step aerobics. When I first came to LA, I was right across the street from Billy Blank's this Taibo place.
Oh,
His-
really?
his-
He had a facility.
Oh, he had a facility. Well, this was his first facility. And I mean, he was slammed wall to wall people, because everybody would see his infomercials 24/7.
Right.
And they would go and he would teach. And then he opened up a bigger facility, and then that all went away. But, there was that. There was, curves. Remember when there was a curves on every street corner?
Yep.
They're gone. Obviously, CrossFit has withstood the test of time. Wasn't sure if that would come or go.
Yeah.
But it's still around. But for me, it's just like, you know what? I know what works. What works now worked 100 years ago.
Totally.
I'm not reinventing the wheel.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes young trainers, especially, they feel like they have to have a shtick or a gimmick or something flashy, and it's like, no, you do need to have something yourself, I would say,
Yeah.
personality wise and maybe environment wise, that makes it fun and enjoyable for people to come in. But that doesn't mean that you have to do some crazy weirdo exercise that's risky and could get somebody hurt. Instead, just do the basics, but make it fun
Yeah.
and make it repeatable,
Yeah.
because that's when people are gonna, get results. So for me, I've just always tried to be authentic to myself and what I do and do it well.
Mhm.
I've never worried about competition in the neighborhood. I've seen so many gyms come and go
Yeah.
while I've been here, because they try to be all things to all people, or do too much or expand too fast
Right.
or whatever. And it's like, for me, it's like, no, I'm cool. I know what I do well. I'm going to keep doing it well, and I'm going to keep refining it and try to get better at it.
Yeah.
But the longer you've been in the game, the more you realize the important stuff, the big rocks don't really change. And so I might be able to add a little stuff here and there, but overall the basics are no different than they were
Right.
20 years ago or 50 or 100
Right.
years ago.
And most clients don't care whether I'm using steel mace squats to barbell back squats to dumbbells to body weight. It's delivering the experience for
Right.
what they need,
Absolutely.
right? And so if you got someone who needs to get ready for a roll, right? It's like, okay,
Right.
well, we're going to add some cardio in. We're going to do some strength training. You got to change your diet, obviously, to make
Right.
this roll, right? But it doesn't need to happen over like I'm pushing a forklift out in the parking lot,
Right.
right?
No,
to get
absolutely.
I mean, you see those videos, like, come on.
No, absolutely. Well, and I think that's another thing with young trainers, especially ones who maybe have the idea that they'll train athletes or actors or whatever. They think that, well, if they just had either X, Y, or Z certification, or if they had this particular piece of exercise equipment, that all of a sudden people are going to flock to them.
Yeah.
And it's not true. You can do, if I had to, if push came to shove, I could get a client a good workout with a set of bands.
Totally.
Probably that's it.
Yeah.
Even if that's all I had. If I had somebody, let's say that I had some actor that wanted me to come to their house, which I don't do because I'm so busy here I can't leave. But let's say that there was a situation where
For sure.
the money was there and I had to go, and all they had was bands. You better damn sure believe I'm going to get them the best band and body weight workout, and they're going
Yeah.
to get results.
Totally.
So it's not that you need to have even a facility like mine, let alone a lot of the super expensive bells and whistles that I don't even have. You just need to be really good at what you do, and more importantly, you need to be really good with people.
Yes.
'Cause it doesn't matter what you've got. If you're not able to speak to people and, more importantly, listen to people, then you're not going to be successful.
Yeah. Well, and that shows in some of your retention,
Yes.
right? What's your longest tenured client with you?
Oh, I was thinking about this the other day because she keeps coming, so the tenure gets
That's good.
longer. I believe this fall will be 24 years.
Same woman, 24
Same woman,
years.
24 years. Yeah, she's 75 now, and I've seen her through. She donated a kidney to her sister. She fell off of a retaining wall and shattered her left arm. They said she would never have full use of her arm again. We got rid of that idea really quickly. But then she had breast cancer and had the lymph nodes removed on the right side and couldn't even lift her arm overhead at first. Once she got through that, and they said, she probably shouldn't lift more than 5 or 10 pounds ever again.
Yeah.
And we got her through that, and all of a sudden she was as strong as she was in her early 50s when I started training her. And at that time, I'd started competing in powerlifting. And I said, hey, you can set all the California state records if you just compete.
Right.
And so she's like, okay. And so since then, now she has something like, 68 state and national records
That's so
in
awesome.
powerlifting. So yeah, it's that kind of thing is what's rewarding. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you and say that it's not fun to have celebrity clients. I mean,
Yeah.
you know how it is
Yeah.
with training Jake and stuff. For me, yeah, it's fun to go places and do things that I wouldn't get to do if I wasn't training those things. But at the end of the day, it is far more rewarding to have somebody who you've seen them through the hardest points in their life and gotten them through that, and you've made a serious impact in their happiness in their life.
Mhm.
Because the fact is, most people aren't ever going to train a celebrity or an athlete, a pro athlete anyway.
Totally.
And so that doesn't matter.
Right.
You can be just as successful, if not more so, just taking care of the people that are in your neighborhood, in your area. And so
Yeah.
that's what I focus on. I don't care who comes through the door.
Right.
I don't care if they're famous, if they're not famous, whatever. I'm going to try to help them as much as I can. And most of the time I'm successful at it. And there's sometimes some people maybe don't click personality wise, or, there's so many weird fitness and nutrition trends.
Oh.
And I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I'm not going to do something bizarre just
I'm
because
gonna wear
that's
my
what.
belly wrap to
Yeah, it's like it's like we're not the place for you.
right.
You know, bygones. But yeah, I just try to be authentic, do what I do it really well, and obviously you have to get the results. But I've proven that I can get that. I've had
Hmm.
clients obviously that have had shirtless scenes and nude scenes, and been naked on a bus stop billboard for a show
Oh,
and
really?
stuff like that. Yeah, so I mean I've got a good track record
Yeah.
in that kind of thing. So that's the one benefit I would say to the celebrity thing is obviously most people don't need to get in that kind of shape.
Yeah.
So when you can show that kind of extreme um, results, I guess, if you can show that, then people are like, oh, this guy really must know what he's doing,
Right. Right.
for better or worse. Like I say, it really doesn't mean anything that I have trained famous people or not,
Yeah.
but it does lend itself to, in certain circles, giving you credibility that
For
you
sure.
might not get otherwise.
For sure. I have way more credibility now in the baseball community than I did
Sure.
5 months ago.
Yeah. If you got somebody like Jake
Right.
that is, you know, trusting you with their career, which is a multi-million-dollar career, obviously that means you must know what you're doing.
Right.
You
Right.
know, now for me, because I have a lot of clients who, a lot of times, especially actors and people like that, there's a certain mystique that is involved in that. And even though we seem to think that everything nowadays is on, Snapchat and Instagram and whatever, but not everybody is doing that, and they don't necessarily want people to know what they do to look the way they do or who
Totally.
they do it with.
Yep.
Because they don't want their competition to come and train with me. And sure, that can hurt my business in a way, but you know what? I've been around since long before there was social media even existed. So if somebody wants to post something about me and working out here on Instagram, fine, that's great. But if they don't want to, that's great too.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about.
Totally.
They're paying me to get results for them.
Yep.
And that's what's important. And is it more important that this person trusts me or that I can tell the world that this person trusts me?
Right.
It's really more important that they trust me
Yeah.
and that I don't breach that trust.
Totally.
So
And then it'll pay off in the long run.
yeah, absolutely. And like I say, you can take somebody, Ben Bruno's a good friend of mine, and Ben happened to get some clients who like Kate Upton and Chelsea Handler, who were very internet and social media savvy and liked him posting about that.
Yeah.
So obviously that was huge for his career, and he's on the Today Show and stuff like that. Now, yeah, would it be cool if I was doing stuff like that too? Of course, I'm not going to sit here and say it wouldn't be, but at the end of the day, that's just a matter of circumstance, and I'm not going to go and try for that kind of thing. If something like that ever happens, it happens, But I'm glad that Ben has had that opportunity because he's finally
Yeah.
been able to get some really good, solid information out to the masses,
Yeah.
which has been sorely lacking for a long, long time. So more power to Ben.
Yeah, I'm excited. My buddy Sean is our editor in chief on it, and he and Ben are good friends. And we keep trying to connect when I'm out here, and it's just his schedule and my schedule
I know
when
he's
I'm
a
in
busy
LA.
dude.
Yeah, but it's all good stuff. And I think that, to be honest, and there's a lot of actors and athletes that work out with people that probably don't have the same respect for
Sure.
them. But I think in the long run, it all helps. And when I started training Jake, I told him I was like, I could care less if you repost me or shout me out. You know what I mean? But
Right.
because I know that our relationship is really good.
Sure.
So, and I don't need that. Like, I don't need that validation.
Right.
My gauge of success for us is when you throw 30 games and you throw over 200 innings and you have, Cy Young contention and you feel really good about your body. I go,
Sure.
that's my win. When you're like, dude, I feel so good.
Right.
Right now, I'm like, everything else is easy.
Right.
Right? I could give a shit about it.
Sure.
Right? And like the social media, it's great. But it's not. I would rather have your friendship and trust
Right.
than.
That's exactly it. And I think, far too many young people, because they've grown up with this.
Yes.
So for them, it seems like that's what the end game is the social media post
Yeah,
and
it's
being
their
able
equity.
to. Yeah, exactly. And I feel bad for them in a way,
Yeah.
because they don't know any better. And so, I don't know. Just for me, like you said, it's all about that trust and that relationship, and that's where my bread and butter is, And so, and that's why I get referrals
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
because people can trust that, what, somebody can come here, and I'm not going to go talking about, hey, guess who I trained today, and
Mhm.
shoot, whatever. It's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and for you, I guess, a lot of people are probably wondering, how did you even get these people in the first place, right? And
sure,
because you're not out there doing like click funnels and internet
not a
marketing
thing.
and Facebook advertising, and that's what a lot of people are relying on to drive that traffic,
Yeah, I've
right?
never spent one solitary dollar on advertising.
So,
Not a print ad, not a radio spot, not an internet ad,
yeah,
not a dollar. The only thing I've got is obviously I spent money to have a website so people
right,
have something to go to see what we're about.
right.
But other than that, I've never tried to do that. The thing for me, it's been location, obviously, since I've had the facility. But before I had my own facility, it was word of mouth.
Yeah,
You know, obviously, if you have clients, I've had more than one client, like Barbara, who's 24 years. I've had clients for 20 years, 16 years, 9 years, 10 years. I mean, a lot of long-term people.
yeah,
So when you have happy clients, then they tend to refer people to you.
totally.
Now, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I've always been more shocked at people's friends who, when they see the results that I get with people, that
Mhm.
their friends aren't like clamoring to,
Yeah,
what are you doing?
right,
But then again, that goes to, especially for some of the more famous people, they don't necessarily want everybody to know their secret,
right.
and I've got to be okay with that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
okay. Nobody owes me a referral. That's not part of the deal when they
right,
come in to sign up. They are paying me to get them results.
right.
There's not this
Paying you. That's key.
exactly.
A lot of people would like, oh, I'm a movie star, or I'm whatever, Tom
Oh,
Hanks.
the worst right now is not even like that level of person. That level of person gets it.
Totally.
The problem right now is these social media influencers who are like,
Barf.
they're not even really famous. They have if you they don't have near the social media followers that my real clients do.
Right.
Yet they're trying to come and get me to train them for free, and it's like, well, if I don't train so and so for free, why on earth would I train you for free? Hey, I'm not going to train anybody for free.
Right.
This is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
You don't go to the doctor and be like, oh, can I have a free surgery? I'll tweet about it. It's like, that's
I'll shout you
dumb.
out, bro.
Yeah. Come on, I'm an influencer.
Yeah.
I just feel so for me that kind of stuff's like whatever. So I don't know that social media thing. Like I say, it can be a blessing, but so much of it is just BS.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it all ends up being worth it when someone finds you that way and then they reach out and like, oh my gosh, I saw that you did this because you're with this person.
Sure.
But it can disconnect us just as easy as it can connect us.
Right.
Right.
Well, and in some ways, I think it can be a detriment in that not all of my trainers in here. Matter of fact, most of them don't work with any famous people.
Right.
I'm kind of the guy that does that, but you could almost shoot yourself in the foot because if you promote yourself as that's what you do, and so then people think that, well, they only work with famous people, they only work with people who look good, and that can be like the person who's a professional person or maybe they're a homemaker or whatever and is out of shape and really needs your help the most is intimidated to come in
Yeah.
because they think that it's a certain thing that it's not. So you got to be really careful with. I've never promote myself as celebrity trainer. It's I happen to have some
Yeah.
of that kind of clients, but that's not what I do. I'm a trainer.
Right.
Whoever comes in, we're gonna help them.
Yeah. Grandma Betty to Bon Jovi.
Absolutely.
Right. They get the same experience
Right.
from
sure.
you.
Right.
Right? They don't
Absolutely.
get treated differently because whoever they are.
Right.
So let's back up a little bit. You first got out here to LA
Mhm.
in 1993.
Right.
Right. And you had 10 years before you opened this place up.
Right.
So fitness was in a very interesting landscape. Like you said, the bodybuilding scene was really big. There was
Sure.
some transition out of step aerobics. And you just moved. So it's not like you moved with an existing clientele. You didn't have a.
I didn't know a soul.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I mean, I'd obviously met the guy that I worked for.
Yeah.
But I met this dude, like in Vegas at a hotel, and then I came down for a weekend to see the facility he was opening up, and
Mhm.
that was it.
Yeah.
Didn't know anybody other than that. And ironically, that weekend that I moved down here was when they were going to announce the results of the second Rodney King trial. And we know what happened after the first Rodney King trial.
Right.
There were huge riots in LA.
Right. I'm sure your parents were pumped about you being
Yeah,
down
so I'm
here.
like, okay, I'm moving to LA and I have no idea if I'm going to be moving into a war zone or what have you. And like I said, I knew nobody. Obviously,
Right.
had no clients. And then it wasn't too long after that, because I moved here in April of '93. January of '94, we had a massive Northridge earthquake,
Yeah.
which happened to be like right where I lived. And Sherman Oaks got hit pretty hard. Northridge obviously got nailed, but Sherman Oaks got hit really bad too. So yeah, within that first year, it was quite a change to go from this rural farm kid who,
Yeah.
hopscotched to Urbana, Illinois, and then Vegas, now to LA, this humongous city, and didn't know a soul, and then have a earthquake and all this kind of stuff. It was definitely an eye-opening experience,
Mhm.
you know.
And were you working for someone, or what kind of environment were you training in when you first
Yeah,
got
when
to
I
LA?
first moved here was to work for this guy at his facility, so I
Okay.
was a staff trainer.
Okay.
I mean, I was an independent contractor, like,
Oh, okay.
so I wasn't an employee of there. So, I've been in business for myself since that '93 time, and what happened there was just I started to notice, I was the only person. Now, other people had college degrees, but they didn't have degrees like in kinesiology
Right.
or anything, and so I thought, okay, that's all right. It is what it is, but let's see how this goes. And over the course of the 2 years, all of a sudden, I was in the beginning, obviously, he gave me clients because I
Right.
didn't have any clients. But what was starting to happen was all the clients that I was starting to get was on referral from clients who were happy with what I was doing
Right.
for them. And he would give the other trainers the clients that came in off the street. So I'm like, okay, there's got to be something beneficial to you that you don't have to now supply me with clients. So I wanted like $1, maybe $2 a session raise over what he was paying me.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, this is what I pay." And so I'm like, "Okay." And I left and I took most of my clients with me, because people can say what they want,
Right.
but I was an independent contractor. I
Right.
wasn't your employee, and people can train where they want to with who they want to. And that's one of the things I've always thought about here as a gym owner. I want to create an environment that both the trainers and the clients are happy, because any of them can leave at any time.
Yeah.
So I would try to make it a place that they don't want to leave. But anyway, going back to that place, so what I did is I moved to a Gold's Gym nearby in North Hollywood, and I worked out of that Gold's Gym for, oh geez, 8 years, I guess, from '95 to 2003 when I opened this place.
Oh, wow.
So that was crazy, because that was a gym where there was tons of independent trainers. They never could really hold a staff
Uh,
there at that one for some reason. It just never kind of clicked. Probably because there were so many independent ones, and a lot of them were awful.
yeah.
And I would always wonder, how do they have so many clients? You see what I'm doing with clients, and then I see what they're doing. But they had a certain shtick and a certain way that they would interact with people. So I tried to learn something from them, even though I thought their training wasn't
Yeah.
very good. It's like obviously something about their business acumen was good.
Yeah.
And so I tried to, distill the good that I could out of what they were doing. And, a lot of that is, again, just being able to talk and relate to people.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times trainers are very reluctant I don't know. It's just, I've just seen it so many times. Or weird getting on the phone with somebody, and,
Mhm.
and, and sales can be a weird thing. For me, I never think about, I'm not selling anything.
Yeah.
I just want to know what brought you in the door, what's going on. Because obviously something they're unhappy with in their life,
Mhm.
probably their fitness, but it could be something else, and they think that doing something about their fitness will help that, which it may. Something brought them in, and so I just try to find out what that is,
Yeah.
and then let them know that, hey, I think that we can help in that area.
Yeah.
You know,
Was it weird? I mean, now it's so common for people to have a personal trainer, go to group class, Orange Theory, something like that.
sure,
Selling training, especially in like the early 90s,
right.
it was a pretty novel thing for people to spend money on.
Yeah, it wasn't like, I mean, like I said, there was a lot of trainers at that Gold's Gym, but it was really, I would say, kind of the first generation
Yeah.
of the more, I don't want to say average person, because you still had to be at a certain level of affluence to be able to do it.
Right.
But definitely was not the realm of just celebrities having people train them one-on-one
Right.
anymore. So again, for me, it was a slow, organic build. I mean, you can't substitute 25 years,
Totally.
you know?
Absolutely.
And so I didn't start out of the gate having tons of clients, but the ones that I would get, obviously I would keep them happy.
Yeah.
And then I would gradually add, whether it was maybe their spouse
Mhm.
or I had one family that I had, oh man, probably close to 10 members of the family at one time or another, or the extended
Yeah.
family, and you don't know which client's going to be that's going to be the source of that. You got to
Totally.
just treat everybody well. So yeah, for me, it was just a long, slow, kind of organic process.
Mhm.
And like I said, I never spent a dollar on advertising, or
Yeah.
I never put up flyers around. I mean, for me, that just seemed unprofessional.
Yeah.
I would never go if there was a telephone pole with training and take the little.
Yeah.
I would never call somebody
Yeah.
off of that. I'd be like, well, this person must be awful if they're having to resort to putting their thing on the telephone pole.
Totally. Right.
So, yeah, for me, it was just really a word of mouth thing from early on. And then obviously opening the facility, that changed things.
Yeah.
Because now all of a sudden I've got people coming in, and I've got certainly more people that I could handle on my own. So then I needed to have more trainers. And that was always the goal with having a facility, was to have other trainers that would, at the very least, cover all of the overhead expense.
Yeah.
So now I've got this great facility, and I've got the clients that I have and can charge the rates that I do, obviously higher than they were 25 years ago. So I can have a lot more money in my pocket now
Totally.
by having all these other people.
Yeah. So now going through, like you said, you mentioned you've been training Barbara for 25 years.
24, yeah.
24. How do you keep things? Because I think someone's going, well, why hasn't she just done it on her own? Right. But I mean, and I know because she loves the time that you guys spend together and the
Exactly.
relationship you have so much more than anything they chest press and squats and lunges.
Sure.
But from a training standpoint, how did you keep it fresh enough to keep her entertained beyond your charming personality and baby blues?
I honestly, there's only so many exercises.
Yeah.
There's only so many ways to program. There's only so many rep schemes or whatever. And to be quite honest, most clients don't care. Like you said, they don't know. They don't know that this is necessarily boring. The one thing that I try to do is, because I see clients typically 2 or 3 times a week, so I do full body workouts
Nice.
with them. Some people I have to do interval cardio in with them. Some people I don't. It just kind of depends on their goals and where they're at. But for the most part, that's what it is. So all that I do is, when I do full body workouts, I just try to vary which exercises I'm using. And I'm old school. I've got everything written in notebooks, paper notebooks that I have printed up.
Yeah. How many
at
notebooks do you
Kikos.
have? You've taken
I've got-
pictures of those before.
Yeah, well, that's just my schedule books. I've got every schedule book from 1993 to now, but I also have everybody's workout logs, because I can't throw them away. They're like my babies.
Right.
It's like
Every client
every client, I have every workout that they've ever done written down.
over 25 years.
Yeah.
Training 30, 40 hours a week.
Yeah. I've got them all over. I got them at home. I've got them here up in the rafters.
What are you going to do if you ever had to move? Like, that's so much weight in books to like all your schedules.
They're not that bad. I mean, because each book is about, if somebody was coming twice a week, each book is roughly a year of training.
Okay, so each client has their own notebook.
Yeah, they have their own book. It's 50 pages, double sided, and it cost me probably about $9 to make. But I'm old school like that. I like
Yeah.
to have that. And I just had a client who came back to me. I just had 2 clients who came back recently. One of them, they're getting ready to go on tour again. I hadn't seen them since they'd done a tour back in 2013. I got their old book out. Boom, I can see exactly what they were doing the last time I trained them.
That's so awesome.
The other girl, I hadn't seen since 2006. Went up in the rafters, got her book, boom. Here I know exactly what she did 12 years ago. Now, obviously, I'm not going to start her out there,
Right.
but I can see, okay, this is what you were doing. This is kind of, now we have an idea of what we can shoot for.
How shocked were they?
Yeah, they were shocked. They're like, what? I go, yeah. One of my trainers actually now, who now he's 29 years old. He was a child actor, and I trained him when he was like 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
So when I was looking for that girl's book, I actually found his book from 2004.
That's awesome.
So I'm like, hey, Bobby, look at this. And he weighed like 111 pounds. He was the skinniest little 16-year-old
111-pound 16-year-old.
Yeah,
That was like my size.
he was tiny, and now he's a trainer and works for me. So
That's really cool that it came full circle.
yeah, it's kind of funny like that, and I had no idea that book was even still up there, in the rafters. But like I say, I can't bring myself to get rid of stuff like that. I have every workout I've ever done written down since the '80s, since I was in high school.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So now for you, kind of going through this and the evolution of fitness, and what made you never want to even jump into like the small group sessions? Obviously, because that's financially can be beneficial having 5 people at one time or semi-privates,
Sure.
right? You've always kind of been the one-on-one model, and
Right.
your trainers are
Yeah.
one-on-one model.
Yeah. Well, it's twofold. I'm not saying that's not a viable business model, because
Mhm.
obviously I would be lying. It is. It's just it's not my style. I used to train twins, and I would not train them together. They would
Mm,
come to the gym together and be like, "I'm going to train you for an hour, and then I'm going to train you for an hour," because they're different
yeah.
people, and there is something to be said for the personal part of personal training.
Yeah.
And I like that, and I tend to, especially now that I'm older. But even when I was young, I was kind of just this good listener, and people were able to open up to me about things that they wouldn't necessarily talk about in small groups,
Hmm.
And so you become that person that they want to see 2 or 3 times a week for a lot of reasons other than the workouts.
Absolutely.
I've had clients that come in that they're like feeling crappy and don't even really want to work out that day, but they're like, I just need my Chad time.
Yeah.
You know, that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy when certain trainers are like, "Oh, I'm not a rep counter, or I'm not a cheerleader, I'm not whatever." It's like, get over yourself. I'm absolutely sometimes have to be a cheerleader, and I'm always a rep counter. It's way easier for me to count the reps than them. I want them to count. I want them to concentrate on the form that they're
Right.
using for the exercise.
Right.
I'll count the damn reps.
Yeah.
That's fine. So for me, yeah, it's just creating that relationship and that experience, and it lends itself for my personality to do one-on-one.
Yeah.
And because of the size of the gym, I don't want an overcrowded studio. I don't want somebody training 3 clients, and then I've got somebody who I need to get on certain things with, and I can't because now I've got
Yeah.
those 3 in doing some big circuit or whatever. I would much rather have 3 or 4 clients all training someone individually,
Hmm.
then because you only got so much room for so many people anyway.
Totally.
So for me, I would rather have 4 or 5 people all making money that hour than to just have one person who's training the group, or 2 people if they have 2 small groups making money. Yeah, those individuals might make slightly more, but for me, it's like the gym itself is making just as much money.
Right.
You
Right.
know, but that's because I'm a smaller place. If I was a bigger place, I'm not going to say that I wouldn't have the option of these small groups if people wanted it, and then one-on-one. But for me, my size facility and what I've created here, the one-on-one is what I'm
Yeah.
happy with.
What I love too the most about your success has been that you haven't tried to abide by anybody else's rules, and it's always done your way.
Right.
But it's always just done with the highest level of quality across the board, right? It wasn't about getting into the HIIT training and group fitness. And
Right.
you're like, hey, I'm going to deliver this service. I'm going to do it fucking amazing.
Right.
And I'm still here, right? People
Right.
still keep coming to me. You're not, I mean, you probably have a long waiting list of people who are like, hey, if you have an open spot at this time, I would love to jump in there.
Well, it's funny you say that, because now, especially for whatever reason, over the last few weeks, I've had people like the girl from 2006 and the guy from 2013, and some clients who maybe had tailed off at the end of last year, all come in. And so, yeah, literally now, if I have a cancellation, because I have some standing clients that have been there at 8 or 9 or 10 a.m. 3 days a week for years.
Yeah.
So, but I get people to cancel all the time too for various reasons. So, yeah, I'll immediately, boom, somebody cancels, boom, I'm on the phone. Hey, 9 just opened. Do you want it? If they don't want it, somebody else is going to want it. That kind of a thing happens. So that's been probably the best thing about, used to be I didn't even have a pager.
Mm.
Then all of a sudden it was a pager, and I had to go to a payphone and try to, contact clients. And that way now it's like, thank God for texting and that kind of thing, because I can deal with my schedule so much easier.
Yeah.
Then I be like, okay, somebody's canceling, then let me do this and this and this, and make the dominoes all, fall the way that I want them to fall.
I didn't even think about that. Your primary mode of communication.
Oh,
A
yeah,
pager and a landline phone.
absolutely.
Hoping that they might be by the phone when you call them back
Right.
Like, hey, I'm not going to come in. Or like maybe you had a family emergency and you're calling them and leaving a
Right.
message on their machine,
Oh yeah.
hoping that they get it.
That was funny because now there's very few people that I could remember their phone number. And back then, I knew everybody's probably 2 or 3 phone numbers for them, because not everybody even had a cell phone
Right.
back then. So I know their work number, their house number, maybe their cell number or their pager number if they had one. So
That's
you had to
so
like know
crazy.
all that stuff. Because just a number would pop up on the pager. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I know who that is.
Mhm. That's funny.
Yeah,
This industry is really hard, just to kind of maintain, not only just to have clients and run a successful business and get people to like you and buy sessions.
right.
How have you managed to stay out of the burnout that this industry really invokes on a lot of us?
I don't know exactly the answer to that because for me, it's always a mystery how people end up burned out by it. And maybe it's because I grew up, in the 70s and 80s in the Midwest. So I grew up, working on a farm, working long days, baling hay and feeding cattle and all that kind of stuff. I worked in a sheet metal factory in college in the summers. So I know what it's like to put in 8, 10 hour days of real hard physical labor for way less money per hour than I'm making now.
Right.
And so for me, I'm like, what are you talking burnout?
Yeah.
I could be working 8 hours somewhere else. Here, most of my days are probably 6 hour days. And maybe they're all 6 in a row if I'm lucky and I've stacked them all up in the morning. But maybe I'll have 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon or evening or something. It just depends.
Hmm.
But for me, I'm like, how on earth could I complain about burnout when I've worked that sheet metal factory
Yeah.
where, my feet were numb from standing all day long on an assembly line, that
Right.
kind of thing. So, all I can say is for me, I've never, not that I'm going to say there's not days that I don't get tired or whatever, but I think one of the things that even Barbara, who's been with me 24 years, she says one of the reasons why she keeps coming in is I never seem to be having a bad day.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to see her. It always feels, good to come
Yeah.
in. It's a high point of their day. And I've always said that I wanted the 2 to 3 hours a week that my clients come in here to be their favorite hours of the week. Because if I can do that, then they're going to keep coming back.
Yeah.
And so that's all I focused on is making the workout obviously effective
Yeah.
and enjoyable. So for me, that comes predominantly to working on me as a human being, not
Mhm.
me as a trainer. It's me as a citizen of the world, traveling the world, reading, watching, films or documentaries or whatever it is. It's trying to learn more about the world and humanity and all this kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that you talk about
Mhm.
in 24 years of training somebody. You're not talking about the Krebs cycle. You're not talking about sarcomeres. It's like they could care less
Right.
about that stuff. So you've got to have this side of you developed as a human being in order to be successful, I think, in any business.
Right.
But especially the training, because the training, no matter how many bells and whistles you try to put together, can be monotonous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so many people, they get caught up like, well, Chad's supposed to hit 92%, 95%, 97% on their bench today. And, they're late and I've got a full day. And it's like, you know what? Maybe they just got fired and their wife left them or husband left them
Right.
or boyfriend, girl, whatever it is. And like, they still chose to come in and see you
Right.
because you're the best fucking piece of their day.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God, the world's dumping on me and I just get to go see Chad.
Right.
Right. The workout isn't, I mean, for most people, the minimum effective dose is going to make a big difference for most people.
Sure.
Because they're not training for that 1%. Now, you
Right.
have had actors and actresses that do need that. Hey, you've got a naked video shoot.
Right.
and-
Well, that tends to be motivation enough.
Right.
You
right.
know.
Well, I'm going to get paid millions of dollars to be butt ass naked on this bus. So I don't really need pizza right now.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But then for them, it's like, God, just being a good human.
Right.
No, how many of your clients have ever asked you, what certs do you have?
None.
None. Because no one gives a shit.
No. I mean, they obviously see. I don't even know if they've ever looked at them. My diplomas
Right.
and stuff are on the wall there, but they don't ask about that stuff.
Right.
Or
what's the name of the program we're doing? Or did you, like, whatever? They don't care.
right.
Right?
No. Most of the stuff that they ask about will be something they've seen in the media that tends to be baloney. And so they'll be like, okay, so what do you think about this? And I'll try to explain to them. I try never to just outright say that's stupid.
Right.
I try to be much more diplomatic about it because you tend to get farther with people that way,
Mm.
especially if you get somebody who's coming in to see you. Now, maybe I've had somebody who, let's say they were doing CrossFit and they got hurt or whatever, and they're coming in and going to train with me. Well, I don't start bashing CrossFit straight off the bat.
Right.
It's like, you know
Right.
what? Okay, well, we do things a little different here, and
Mhm.
so we'll see how it goes. And then if they bring it up, I'll say, well, I think that probably, you probably did poor form, or maybe you did that too frequently, or got overuse or what have
Yeah.
you. And just it is what it is. But I don't feel the need to necessarily, bash other trainers or methodologies or whatever. I just control me,
Yeah.
and I do what I do really well.
Yeah.
So
Well, I bet a lot of people are sitting here wondering, as not only have you survived the test of time in business,
right,
but how do you get a celebrity client to want to spend money with you and
right.
come in and do that?
I mean, it's not like I hung a shingle out on the door that says, celebrity training here, inquire within.
You're not spinning a sign out
Yeah,
in front?
yeah, no.
Are you an
Yeah.
actress or actor?
Yeah,
Come on
exactly.
in.
I hire a guy to stand out on the corner and spin this thing for me. No,
That's how we met.
basically, uh, the majority of it had to do with I was in a good location.
Mhm.
Obviously, if you're living somewhere that actors don't live, you're probably not going to train an actor. If you're training somewhere where they live, the chances are better.
Yep.
And obviously, for their job, they tend to need to look that way. So the incentive for them to work out somewhere, whether
Mhm.
it's on their own or with me, is higher. So being in a good location to make it even possible
Yeah.
was the first step. And then really, it was kind of once I got the first one who just happened to live in the neighborhood and came in, and then they got good results. Then they referred their friends.
Mhm.
Then they got good results, and
So
then
it works the exact same way as everybody else.
same way as everybody else.
Weird. It's just timing and luck.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just not. It's not one of those things where I've been on a lot of podcasts.
Mhm.
I've been, on People Magazine, on their website. I've been, you know, mentioned on social media by some of my more famous clients here and there and stuff like that. I've never gotten one client out of any of that stuff.
Right. Right.
You get it out of, the organic stuff that you do all the time,
Yes.
So, that being said, if somebody likes this podcast and they want me to train them, come on in.
Right. Perfect. Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Now, did you ever do like a contract with a studio? Like you went on site for like Iron Man and trained him or something?
No, I wish.
Yeah?
Well, because it would have been fun just to have the experience.
Right.
I haven't personally because, once you have an established business and a lot of clients, yeah, I could go. I did go to Toronto once to work with Corbin Blue, which I've mentioned, and he's on my website, so I can talk about him.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of making that transition from child teen actor to an adult, and this role happened to require that he was going to have his first nude scene and first love scene. And so I did go to Toronto to help him with that.
The nude scene or the love scene?
Well, it was the same scene. And it was funny because it was a 3D movie. I'm like, well, how is this going to work?
Wow.
Right?
Interesting.
Yeah, right. It's called Nurse 3D if you want to rent it. But that was the only time that I really went there. And I've had people who've come in here who, maybe one of the studios is paying for it instead of them. But by and large, most of the people that I've worked with are paying for this themselves
Yeah.
out of pocket, and so I appreciate that. I'm not going to try to gouge somebody because they're famous or I think they've got money or whatever.
Oh, you don't scale the prices
No,
for people?
no, the rate's the rate.
Yeah.
Come or don't.
Barbara pays the same as...
Yeah, well, I mean, I have
whoever.
some clients who obviously been with me 24 years
Right.
who've been grandfathered in, and I've raised the rates over the years on
Right.
them, but not to what I would charge somebody brand new
Right.
out of the gate. I take care of the people who've taken care of me over so many years.
I think that's super key, right? As a lot of you even start to get up in the years of training, right?
Right.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
No, absolutely. There's going to be a tipping point to where it's not going to be that important anymore that they come and see you.
Right.
That they find something that's maybe a little more affordable to
Right.
them. So I try to take care of people and make it so that I'm obviously taken care of. But the way I've always thought about it is if the amount of money that I'm, let's say, missing out on by not charging them more, if it's not enough to change my zip code, then why am I going to do that?
Yeah.
To have a few more dollars in the bank to buy, a bigger pizza. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So if it's not that kind of, if it's not life-changing money, then take care of the people.
Mhm.
I just try to treat people the way that I would want to be treated.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want somebody to gouge me because they see me, roll up in my car or whatever it
Mhm.
might be. So, why would I do that to somebody else?
Yeah. I mean, someone paying you 3 days a week for 24 years
Right?
is a heck of a lot more than someone paying you once for 6 weeks.
Oh, absolutely. And plus, like I say, I've trained her husband now for over 16 years. So you got two people of the same family. That's a lot of money. And I have a lot of couples that I train,
Yeah.
husband and wife. So I'm a big portion of that household monthly expense.
Yeah.
I'm sure as hell not going to indiscriminately raise the rates on them because no, in the grand scheme of things, it might not be that much money a month, but by the same token, it could be. You don't know people's financial situations,
Mm.
and people have kids, and they out here, most of them have to go to private school because the public schools aren't so great,
Oh,
and so
really?
there's a lot of expense that goes into it. So if somebody's willing to continue to pay me what I think is a fair amount, I'm not going to go and just raise them because I can.
Mhm.
I've always tried to, when I felt it was appropriate, to have a higher rate for new clients
Yeah.
to take on somebody new, then I set the bar that way.
Yeah.
But I tried to make raising rates on older clients as infrequent as I can,
Mhm.
so that I can take care of them.
Yeah. Well, and then, beyond that, in terms of your pricing, like that's not what defines you either.
Right.
And now you're starting to like you speak a lot, you
Sure.
travel around. Like, is that because like people are just asking you because you train movie stars, or what are they?
Well,
Why do
I
they ask to
think
speak?
I think that's definitely been a thing for some of the speaking
Yeah.
gigs. I think for better or worse, when people see that celebrity thing
Mm-hmm.
and younger trainers maybe think they want to do that, so they want to hear what I have to say.
Yeah.
Now maybe they've heard me on a podcast or something like that, and that's the way. But in the beginning, when I first started doing speaking, it was just me reaching out to people who were putting on events and say,
Really?
"Hey, I think I would be a good speaker for this event." So the first speaking gigs that I did, I paid for myself to fly there, put myself up in a hotel, didn't get paid for the speaking gig itself, but
Wow.
I wanted to prove myself,
Yeah.
because these people are obviously charging customers to come and sit and view this thing, and I was an unknown commodity.
Right.
So I had no problem. I've got the money. I can do that. And so I proved myself. And
Yeah.
obviously you've seen me speak.
Yeah.
So it's
Investing in the process.
yeah, exactly. So for me that was kind of how all that got started.
Love
And
it.
so then once you speak, as you know, since you saw me speak, and I don't think you'd mind me saying one
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
things that you said after you saw me speak was probably top 3
Yeah.
that you'd ever seen.
Absolutely.
So obviously if you're in a situation and somebody's like, "Hey, we need a speaker for such and such thing. Do you know of anybody?" You're probably going to say, "Well, yeah, I've got like these 3 people,
Yeah.
and I'm probably one of them."
Yeah. I'll
So
name it: Chad Landers, Mark Fisher, Brett Bartholomew.
all my friends.
Those are my 3 top. If I had to run an event right now and I needed 3 people to speak, those are my top 3 people I'd choose.
Mark, Brett, we should make this happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm working on it.
But yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like once people have seen you, like I'm speaking in Canada soon. Well, the guy that invited me to speak there obviously has seen my presentation,
Yeah.
so he knows. But what I'm doing in April, the guy who's running that, even though I've been friends with him for a while, he's never seen me speak. So he's just like, my reputation, precedes itself. So he's like, yeah, I'd be thrilled to have you
Mhm.
speak at my event. But by me going to that, there's going to be people that haven't seen me speak. And usually it's the other speakers,
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh, okay. That's where you start to really grow your network. Maybe it's from people who are in the audience, but a lot of times it's the other speakers
Totally.
or the people who are running the events.
Yeah. And I mean, you and I've talked about this. Like, we both have been very fortunate to be very well networked.
Yes.
How have you been able to manage? I mean, I think that's something that a lot of facility owners or even trainers just don't do a great job of,
Right.
because they get so caught up in getting in the grind and trying to
Sure.
fulfill, like, and you've been fortunate your business has been good
Yeah.
since the going, but like, what's been your trick to like going out and meeting people and networking?
That's been the biggest benefit to social media, because before there was Facebook really or Instagram, you didn't have this opportunity.
Mhm.
So I used to say, for better or worse, I was like the best kept secret in LA. Which I would say it's really for the worst. It's definitely not a badge of honor for
Right,
nobody to know who you are.
right.
And so I was doing great work, but that was only known by the people who I worked with,
Mhm.
really. So by having, websites and Facebook and that kind of thing, then that kind of lends itself to more people to know who you are, and then going to events. I've gone to lots of events before I was ever a speaker at
Yep.
them, just to go, and most of that was to meet, to meet other fitness people that I wanted to connect with, people like Mark Fisher, who I'd
Yeah.
read their stuff and messaged them. But I'm never afraid to, when somebody does something that I like, whether I've met them before or not, if they write something or put out a video or a tweet, I will reach out to them and say, you know what, this was friggin' great,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people appreciate that, and so that, or it could be something as simple as, this always kind of blows me away that this is seen as not being like normal.
Mhm.
But like I'll see people that I'm Facebook friends with, most of which I've met in person, and maybe their grandma dies. Well, if I have their cell phone, I'm going to text them directly
Yeah.
and say, you know what, I'm sorry to hear about your grandma.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked that more people don't do that. But that's meant so much to some people that I've done that to. And they like send me handwritten cards and gifts and stuff just for that little tiny bit of kindness, which took me 5 seconds to
Right.
do.
A text message.
Yeah, and I'm not doing it for any ulterior motive, other than that's just the way to be a good human being,
That's it.
and the way that I would want somebody to treat me. So, I definitely think that, social media and that kind of thing, if done properly,
Mhm.
allows you to. It depends on if you're authentic or not.
Yes.
And one of the things that I thought was, the first time I met Pete Dupuis
Mhm.
in Kansas City, and he said something that he may not even remember, but he said one of the things he thought was most refreshing about meeting me was I was exactly the same in person as I was on social media.
That's awesome.
And I thought, well, yeah, I'm not pretending to be anything I'm not.
Mhm.
This is me, like it or not, and I'm sure there's people who don't like me,
Yeah.
that's fine. I'm not going to spend much time thinking about that.
Right.
But it's just, it is what it is. So I think authenticity, whether it's online or in person, is such a key to
Mhm.
success, both professionally and personally. Because if you're always hiding behind some kind of a facade, you're always wondering when people are going to find out. You keep trying to keep too many balls
Yeah.
juggled in the air. Eventually, that's what's fatiguing. That's
Mhm.
what the grind is.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, I'm up. I'm the same guy today that I was yesterday, and let's go for it.
I love it. Now, the evolution of, social media, like you said, you've had to adapt to it. You
Sure.
started out as a trainer with a pager,
Right?
right? I mean, you probably sent your resume to Vegas via mail.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mailed everything out.
Yeah. I mean, that's even cooler, I think, to watch. It's one thing to be a successful business,
Right.
right? It's another thing to do it to survive the test of time,
Right.
because the market changes all
Sure.
the time, right?
Well, the one thing that I was never afraid to take a risk.
Yeah.
Now they were calculated risks. Obviously, I didn't just leave Illinois and just show up in Vegas. I mean, I had a free place to stay.
Mhm.
I'd gotten my ducks in a row, somewhat financially, but it was still a big risk
Totally.
to go out there. It was an even bigger risk to move to LA, because I did not know a single soul down
Yeah.
here. I did not have a free place to stay, and I didn't have a client.
Yeah.
But I wasn't afraid to do it. I just thought, let's go for it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then opening up the gym. Now, the gym I was a little more apprehensive of, because it's a big deal, and now I've got a wife to consider here too. And she was actually the one who really kind of pushed me. She actually came up with the name Push for
Nice.
the gym, but she was the one who pushed me to call on this space.
Cool.
Because she knew
Yeah.
I could do this, and she knew that I just needed to, I guess, like anybody on a team like that, she needed me to know that she was on board and I could do this and go for it
Hmm.
and get it done. So that's what I did. So I owe a lot to her and her belief in me,
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough industry to not have a support system behind you.
for sure.
So, and it allows you the agility to try new things and
Right.
see what's going to be the next evolution for you and your family
Sure.
as you guys continue to grow and go down that adventure.
Right.
For you, what are you working on now? We've got the gym, you're up and running,
Well, yeah,
beautiful
it's funny
facility.
because as soon as I like start dipping my toe into other stuff, all of a sudden I get slammed with clients again, which is not a bad problem to have,
Right.
but it's all of a sudden like, there for a little while, you get through the holidays and stuff, and I'm doing like 25, 26 sessions a week. Everything's cool. And then all of a sudden it's like 31, 32, all this stuff. And I'm busy. And my wife's very busy, with her career. She does sound for feature films, and she's the only woman who's won 2 Oscars for sound
His
editing.
wife's a badass.
Yeah, she really is. I married way up.
It's like the 70-yard field goal.
Yeah, it's
that
like,
no one's-
wow. So because she's worked so hard and so long, so I handle all of our personal stuff. So I've got a lot, from pets to our personal finance to then running my corporation and then actively training clients that
Still.
many hours a day. And I try to take care of my own fitness and make time
Mhm.
for that. So it's difficult to start to do other things because I don't want to do anything half-assed.
Mhm.
I don't want to do anything, whether it's public speaking or whatever. I will not fail.
Yeah.
So what I've been starting to do now, and I think this is going to go great actually. Online training has always been a thing that's been out there, and I've been friends with John Goodman, who's like the king of online
Yep.
training for many, many, many years. And I just started a month ago with a guy. I'm going to turn 50 this year, and I went to school with him from junior high on, and he's going to turn 50 in January of next year. And so he saw all my posts, and he just reached out just for some information.
Yeah.
He didn't want me to train him because I wasn't putting it even out there that I did that kind of thing
Right.
because I didn't. But I thought, you know what, this is a perfect opportunity for me to see if I can deliver online or virtually, if you will, what I do in person because I didn't know if I could.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do anything that I couldn't deliver that kind of quality.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing that with him for a month now and ironing out all the kinks, and he's lost over 12 pounds. And it's like, wow, I think I can do this.
Mhm.
That the biggest thing has been trying to make sure that I don't, and I'm not charging him for this right now
Right.
either. It's like he's helping me out by
Yeah.
ironing out
It's your litmus test.
these kinks. Exactly. And so I was finding out the amount of time commitment and developing systems based on what I'm doing with him so that when I do charge for it, I can charge a reasonable amount, but keep my time commitment to it reasonable for that charge because it is just a secondary thing. I've still got the bread and butter here.
Mhm.
The other thing along those lines, the 2 groups of people that I've always wanted to help is the average person who's just been inundated with misinformation and feels like that it's hopeless to ever get in shape.
Yep.
So that's where the online training could help. But then the other is the young trainer who maybe wants to open up their facility one day. And it's hard. And most probably shouldn't even consider it, at least not right now until they get all their ducks in a row. And I
Yeah.
can teach them how to do that. So that's another thing that I'm working on now is actually starting this consulting business for people that want to open up their own facility.
That's
Because
awesome.
I think that I could, they may not like it if I were to say, you know what, I don't think you should open one right now. But if I said that, I would give that with the caveat that these are the things that I think you can fix
Mhm.
and that then you can open it, but don't open it now based on your current, financial situation
Totally.
or what have you. So those are the 2 things where I'm branching out to a degree, and obviously I'm still, speaking and that kind of thing. But the bread and butter is still, right here with my clients, and I love it. I can't imagine not coming to the gym and training my clients every day.
Yeah, you're here on a Sunday even with me.
Yeah, well, I've been doing it, 25 years, and I love coming to work every day. I can't even imagine retiring. I don't golf, so what am I going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and there's more people to be helped.
Totally.
To be quite honest. So, I'm coming in tomorrow.
I love it. That's really exciting though that you take that much pride in it, and I think that's what it really takes, and that's the differentiator between someone who's a splash in the pan
Right.
and someone who can withstand the test of time. Obviously, having been 25 years in this industry, you've learned a few things and
Sure.
been able to tutor and help and guide some other individuals. Something that we really like to ask is find out what's a piece of advice that you can give a brand new trainer today that they can take with them from this podcast to be more successful tomorrow.
Well, I guess the piece of advice I would give is a piece of advice my wife gave me,
Ooh.
because this one hit me right between the eyes when she said it. And of course, when she said it, I was like, no, that's not true. You're full of it. But it was true, and it made a big difference once I took it to heart in how I did things. A lot of us, obviously, if we're trainers, then we probably are fairly fit and attractive, and things have gone our way probably in life. The hands we were dealt, we're probably been dealt pretty well. And so a lot of times we get complacent in that, how good is the enemy of great, that kind of thing. And what my wife told me was my biggest problem was that my 70% was better than most people's 100%. So I didn't bother to give more than 70%.
Right.
And that's not to try to, toot my horn and say how great I am or whatever.
No.
Or it's just to say that I wasn't being my best self.
Yep.
And she was right about that. I was not as good as I could have been. And it doesn't mean that I have to, be crazy 24/7, slave to the grind. It just means I have to do my best. And I wasn't doing that. And I think that a lot of trainers settle for just being okay.
Yeah.
And then they wonder why they're not having more success.
Right.
So you're the only one who can answer that question. Your wife can point it out, but you're the only one who can really answer it and say, okay, you know what? She's right. I am coasting. I've had some success. And so I'm just coasting on that success rather than trying to get better as a human being, trying to, read more, do more, give back more, donate my time or money or what have you. So for me, yeah, it's just working on you as an individual, on being your best, being more of a citizen of the world, and the success will come back around to you that way. People will be drawn to you and want to hang with you and learn from you, and that there's a certain charisma about that than somebody who is very narrow-minded and myopic and just a certain way.
Yep. That's awesome. And what did you do? What was your change that you installed in yourself?
It really was putting myself out there more. Like when she had told me that, I wasn't public speaking. I wasn't doing a whole lot of that kind of stuff. And I still could do more. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm giving 100% now. I'd be lying if I said I was. It's the older I get, the more difficult that becomes. You're tired, and so it's like, oh,
I'm
my
tired.
God.
That helps. That makes you feel any better. I'm tired.
It's like I really want to do this, but I need a nap.
I'm in the same boat.
So yeah, like I said, for me now, it's like, okay, I've got things going a certain way. I can devote more time to this online training or this business consulting thing. And the trick is to just not bite off more than I can chew.
Totally.
And it's a side thing. So it's not like I need to. It's not my main gig. I'm not going to all of a sudden become an online trainer or just a business consultant. These are things that I will do in the periphery. So if I have 1 to 5 clients on each side of that equation, then that's great. That's probably appropriate for the time commitment. And it's a good use of my time in the down hours that I do have. Because not every day or every week is the way it has been the last 2 or 3 weeks. There's definitely time in there for me to devote to this kind of thing. So it's just, like I say, me setting up, doing that initial work, which is the hard part, and getting the systems in place to then make it so that it's possible to do this in a reasonable way.
I love it. All right, a couple rapid fire questions for you.
Uh-oh.
Yep. You don't have to say their name for privacy purposes.
Sure.
What's one of the coolest things you've been able to do living in Hollywood?
Well, oh man, a lot of this has to do with my wife more so than even any clients. I mean, I've been to the Oscars multiple times, and both times my wife was nominated, she won. So
it's 2 for 2.
Yeah, she's 2 for 2, which is pretty darn cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
A matter of fact, on my feed on Facebook today, popped a picture of my wife with Steven Tyler the night that she won because they took a picture together.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it was like, wow, that really happened.
Yeah.
And then, I came home and the next day I was in training clients,
Yeah.
So
After the Oscars?
yeah, it's crazy, right? I might have taken the morning off. I don't remember because those are
So you got a
usually
tux on
late
hand.
night. I have 2 tuxes.
You have 2
actually.
tuxes on hand.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, going to the Oscars was pretty darn cool. I've been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've done some neat stuff.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
That's been cool. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's still more rewarding that the clients that I've trained for a number of years. I've only had one client that's ever passed away. That when they've been training with me, she was 96 years old. But I started training her when she was 87. She's a mother of a couple of my clients. And mom was slowing down at 87, so she needed to start working out. So she did. And if it hadn't been for breast cancer taking her away, she would still be coming in. She was just awesome. And to see her, when she passed away, her daughter, who I still train, texted me and told me how amazing it was up until the night before she passed. She was able to get herself up and go to the bathroom at the hospital. And I'm like, you know what? If you help somebody have a graceful death because of what you've done,
Yeah.
keeping them strong, what is more powerful than that? Really? She wasn't laying there in bed with a bedpan
Right.
when she passed away.
She had her independence.
Yeah, she had her independence all the way until the end. And to me, that is powerful.
Yeah.
That's way more powerful than being naked on a bus stop. So what?
Yeah.
So for me, that's really what it's all about.
If you guys didn't get goosebumps there, then you need to rewatch and back that shit up. 'Cause that's like, I'm like, man, I just got cold. No, that's so cool. And I love that she chose to want to do it with you at 87 years old.
Right?
87 and
No.
96?
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty
9
crazy.
years? I mean, you trained an 80-year-old plus woman for 10 years almost.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. And she was coming in, even at the end. I mean, I trained her probably 2-3 weeks before she passed away.
Wow.
And so at that time, the breast cancer and the chemo more than the cancer at that point had really ravaged her.
Mhm.
And she's coming in with her little oxygen cart and,
I love it.
still coming in. And I'm like, wow. And think I want to complain about having a bad day or trainer burnout? No, you're not going to see it from me,
Yeah.
So
That's very rewarding. It makes it all worth it.
absolutely.
If you could have dinner with anybody living or dead, who would you choose?
My grandma.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah.
And was she around for you growing up?
Yeah, my grandma raised me,
Okay.
so my grandma was my best friend,
I love it.
and my grandma passed away in 2006. So I'd already had the gym and she'd seen,
Cool.
some of this success.
That's cool that you could give her
but-
that gift.
Yeah, but I would give anything for one more dinner with her.
I love it. True or false? Are you the real Iron Man?
Well, let's just say that if you saw Robert Downey Jr. and I together, you would say I was. Let's just say that.
I like it. Yeah. If we zoom in on those baby blues right there, you just couldn't even tell right there. So I love it. Thank you very much for joining us today. And it was a pleasure to go back 25 years of training and history into fitness
It's
and
crazy.
how to be successful in the business of the business.
Thanks for having me. I hope that the people that are listening to this or watching it really, get something out of it
Me too.
and
They
just,
will.
kick some ass in your own life and try to help other people, and you're going to be successful.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you.
Thanks again for listening to the Fitness Break Room podcast, everybody. You can follow us on Instagram at Fitness Break Room. And if you're looking to enter our monthly fitness swag giveaway, you can visit our website, fitnessbreakroom.com, and all that info's on the homepage. Hundreds of dollars worth of awesome stuff, so I wouldn't miss that. And then you can even subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and leave us a review if you're digging what we're bringing you. That would be awesome and very helpful. Okay, guys, have a beautiful week. Stay strong and always look out for the little guy.
Eyes in the skies.